How's it going, YouTube? Malagant here. We are going to be talking about the Shaman leveling in this one. If you're curious, I have a lot of leveling videos in my channel. Definitely check them out. But in this one, I'm just going to be giving you tips when it comes to leveling a Shaman, and the gameplay is not going to be there, and it's going to be, as simple as it could be. And I'll try to keep it that way. So, there are actually like several different ways to level a shaman, and I'm obviously going to be talking about the one that I'm doing for the most part. Especially right now in Grim Dawn, it's definitely possible to get like couple of levels extremely easily unless it's your first character. So you could definitely check out like the recent leveling videos that I have done to see that kind of gameplay. But assuming that you're going to be starting with like a first character and it's going to be a shaman, like how do you go about it? Basically, it's the same rule that is applying to every single mastery out there is definitely applying to this one as well. Whichever skill that you choose that is going to be your main ability, you have to max it out so that like it's at its strongest and it's being supported. But the most support that you can, the first one that you can give to a spell is basically putting points into it. So if you max it out, you have like the maximum support that you can give to that ability to begin at the beginning, let's say. You can definitely choose both of them, like Grasping Vines or Devouring Swarm. I always go with the Devouring Swarm. I put about like 12 points into it, and then maybe even 16 points into it, and then I keep on leveling. This thing is going to be definitely carrying you at the very early in the game. It's incredibly strong. If you would like to, you can put a couple of points into this as well. Now, what I do is that like once I reach about level 25, something like that, I go to the Spirit Guide. The guy that respects you. Lets you, take away the points inside the Devil's Crossing prison to the top right corner if you're not familiar with it. Um, I respec out of it completely, and I go into Torrent and Primal Strike head to head basically. So kind of trying to spend equal sort of, and the goal is to basically max them out about the same time. The Torrent part about the Primal Strike is your AoE, and Primal Strike is the single target. So single target being head to head with the AoE, it is like, in my opinion, the better way to do this. And around like level 25-ish, you're capable of putting like a lot of points into this. The one thing that I forgot to mention is that the Thunder Strike for this method is incredibly important as well. And on top of this, to be able to play like this, you actually need a crossbow or a rifle. Because this thing right over here, it requires either a two-hander melee or two-hander range. The way that I level it is always with a rifle, but if you would like to, you can definitely be a melee as well, and this entire tactic or like strategy is going to be working out just fine for you as well. Right after maxing out these two, so just to cover it up one more time so that there's no confusion whatsoever. Right at level 25, I respec out of like everything, try to max out both of those, also put a point into this so that like we can spam the ability back to back. So it's just going to be like a spammable ability for us, just like Devouring Swarm was actually. And after reaching like maximum on both of them, let's say, we continue, and as you can probably imagine, we're going to be maxing out the Storm Surge as well. From here, you actually have like a little bit of option to go for Mogdragon Pact if you feel that you're squishy. Feel free to like take this line over here if you would like to. Definitely, you could also like take that one over there as well. But what I usually do is that I try and rush for the Stormcaller's Pact. The Stormcaller's Pact is an incredible aura, especially while leveling as well, simply because of the way that it works. As early as you can take this, the bigger the impact that it's going to have, because it has like a flat number of electrocute. It has very good multiplier. If you pay attention to it, it doesn't actually like give you lightning multiplier, uh, at the very least not a static one, but it has a chance to give you 350% at 12 points into this, and you can pretty much like get to this very fast. Once you have it, every third attack is going to be proccing this, and you will have that much more impact from it, especially in the earlier on. Whenever it procs, it's just going to be one-shotting everything with the Primal Strike. Trust me on this one. From this point on, you could definitely focus on the Raging Tempest. You could definitely focus the Brute Force. You could definitely focus the HP if you would like to. And those are going to be like the, honorable mentions from the Shaman tree. Otherwise, at this point, if you would like to, you could definitely go ahead and choose your second mastery. That's completely up to you. Probably a question, feral hunger, and the upheaval, they're not going to be working out for you, simply because this is not necessarily an auto attack, default attack, I should say. Savagery is, of course. One thing, if you would like to min-max and if you would like to play it to the perfection, you could do something like this as well. If you enjoy the attack speed, you could even go ahead and take even more points into the Storm Touched. Uh, this is more so the late game than the early game, because this is only going to be confusing or, like, let's say, complicating things. You don't necessarily want to complicate things at all while leveling. You just want to get carried by a spell like Primal Strike. You don't necessarily need to do this. But this wouldn't be all too bad either. If you want to keep things simple and if you want to just stay in Shaman, that's definitely possible. But at this point, like, as this is looking like this, maybe like 12 and 10 over there, I would probably select my second mastery, whatever it is going to be, for sure. From here, I'm going to be telling you basically the devotions as well, the devotions that I would go for. As we are going for a two-hander, Kraken is just incredibly big. So we're going to go for the Kraken. You could either go for the Sailor's Guide or the Eel. Both of them are incredibly good, guys. But at the same time, you're, scaling lightning. If you really want to make min-max, you could go for the Wraith, or you could even go for the Tsunami if you would like to have an extra proc. Those are kind of up to you. At the end of the day, the Kraken is going to require at the very least 2 blue. So just try and take the 2 blue from whatever you would like. I would most likely be taking either the Sailor or the Eel. Let's take the Eel for now. I'm going to be taking the Scholar Light. It's an okay starter, just a very fast method to kick the Kraken in. And as I say it all the time, play your devotions as greedy as possible and remove the points after taking them. Simply because, like, we don't necessarily need this blue node over here anymore. They paid it back. So from this moment, we are going to be rushing for the godlike proc, the Rowan Crown. So if you haven't gone for the Tsunami, definitely try and rush for this, and that's going to be my suggestion. For that one, you will need to take the Quill. And you will most likely need a purple. At that point, you could also remove the green node over there, and then you can fix this in, and then you could remove that one too. I'm going to be mentioning a couple of things on top of this, but these, 5 constellations, if I'm not mistaken, so the Kraken, Eel, or Sailor, up to you. Quill, Scholar Light, and the Rowan Crown. Those things are pretty much like bread and butter as soon as possible, and they're going to be incredibly big for you. And trust me on this one, if you haven't played a Shaman Primal Strike leveling with a two-hander, don't waste any more time. It is incredibly fun to play this way. It's crazy, crazy fun to play. So, couple of like honorable mention devotions that you can go for, obviously. One of them would be Widow, incredible. You would probably need to put it onto like elemental, the Wind Devils or something like that. Or you could try and, find a better proc for yourself. Something like Devouring Swarm would be fine as well. It's going to be kind of up to you. Yes, it can be going to that. The second one would be the Bard's Harp. It's one of my favorite devotions in this game. It's, as long as you're Pierce or Elemental, which Lightning is Elemental. The other one would be Behemoth. It's going to be giving you very good HP and a proc to survive the game. And it's a bit of armor as well to survive the early game. Those are going to be my honorable mentions. Definitely Viper is an option too. I can probably hear someone saying, why don't you go for Ultos? If you play it right, if you itemize it right, and if you support this spell as you should from components, from your devotions, from your skill set. So from the skill set, from the devotions, I've already tell you how to do it. I've already told you I should have that. And so your part is going to be basically your itemization and your components, and later on it's going to be the augments as well, obviously. So if you can do it right, you won't ever need AoE with this guy. The AoE will be there. Your problem is going to be a little bit single target, and for the single target you're going to be needing minus resistance. If you can keep the minus resistance, such as like the Robe and Crown, and the Widow, and on top of that, the Wind Devil. While you might even have even more minus resistance from the second mastery, you're not going to be needing anything else. But that back to the point about the Ultos. Ultos is all about the AoE, and in my opinion, it's definitely not needed for something like this. It's literally all about the AoE. And if, you know, this character right here doesn't necessarily have that many options to proc something, so therefore you would definitely want Primal Strike to be proccing the Elemental Storm. That is going to be my take. I really hope the video was useful. See you next time, YouTube. Peace out.